Everybody, burning the midnight oil, coming on pretty late. Because we're fighting for our son's remains, right? We're fighting for our son's remains. So this is day 1,801 days. It is July 8th, 2025. We're burning the midnight oil. And, Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room on Fort Bliss after being retaliated against continuously and severely for months. What they did to him was so bad, y'all. Before they even took his life, they targeted him. And of course, Bob Moore of El Paso Matters is a co-conspirator. Of course, Lalani Hart, with her son Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart, are the prime suspects, along with a former CID agent, Tavita Nusa, who had his badge terminated in 2021. And of course, there is a huge problem with the chief medical examiner, Mario Raskin Ortiz, who has been in that position for years illegally because he's from Juarez, and he is not legally in the country in the United States. He was brought over by, given that job by Representative Veronica Escobar, who we know absolutely is up to no good, is a narco politician, and he is absolutely connected with 3905 Bliss Avenue, with Danae Katzen, with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. He's absolutely cartel tied. He is illegally in the country, and he's given this position to make over 500 times more money than the average, over $430,000 a year. And then he also charges for when he is used for a witness, even though I think that's part of his job as a judicial officer, chief medical examiner. But we know that death certificates have been tampered with. We have hard evidence of that. And we know that Richard's remains were taken over to Mexico. We know that through many different confirmations of that. And we know that the AG, the Attorney General's office there in Chihuahua, Mexico, tampered with Richard's case. We also know that there was a lot of tampering with Richard's case in El Paso and on Fort Bliss. And we know that those that have targeted our family to shut us up after investigating and finding out who they are, well, they're connected to the funeral business. They're connected to mortuary affairs. They're connected to the medical oversight, and of course they're connected to media, and they're connected to Fort Bliss and VA disability benefits and death benefits, and that they've had this scam, monetizing on death, really. And so that is, just, that's not a coincidence. That's all our investigation for almost 5 years. That absolutely confirms that what I'm saying is true. And now we have the, what do you want to call it? A mass graveyard, a narco mass dumping site, a narco mass corpse dump. Um, it's very hard to name the pictures that we have seen of this yard that has over 400 bodies piled up with even evidence of trauma, multiple still in uniforms. Um, it's very, very difficult to name something like that because, when you think of a graveyard, you think they're they're buried, and a mass grave is when they're buried. Um, these individuals, they weren't buried. These bodies were just piled up. One of them was in a car, y'all. Um, in the picture, it's just crazy to see the human rights violations on this. And if you have a good name for it, because it's narco politicians, it's cartel, it's this funeral business, right? Purchase funeral homes with other funeral homes that are absolutely connected to this body dumping ground. Um, that is so uh, politics and you know um, it it must be a lot of money for them. They're just always it's like they're just driven with money, and then they look around and they're just miserable. They don't even realize that maybe the money is not going to make them happier. It's not going to bring um, anything good to their country, what they're doing, not doing anything good for their future. And you just see that they're miserable. Um, it's just very hard to explain this evil. Some want to be miserable. They just want to be in hell. They just really want to live in hell and cause hell. And that's why, we have the death penalty, because um, they just want to cause so much harm. They just want to cause so much harm. And I think the death penalty needs to be squarely on the table for this. And we need uh, an international commission to do this investigation because um, Caesar Haragi, I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm not, but he's the AG of Chihuahua. He came out today and said it's going to be like to 2027 before they identify who these bodies are. Are you kidding me? Eh, where, it's just one evil deed after the next. It's not even frustration because you absolutely are prepared for them to do it because they've been doing it from the very beginning. Delay, delay, delay. You saw what they did with millions of dollars in the Walmart mass shooting. And I know that Richard's case has cost millions of dollars for them to try to hide things. And what they've done in this case, it's just is very costly. And they use taxpayers' money to cover for their crimes. And then, of course, you have a lot of anger today about the Epstein case and the list. And I've heard a lot of people get pretty angry about that because this was about trafficking of children, right? Young girls. And they're just sick and tired of not getting accountability. And I absolutely understand that, right? This is what we're fighting for is accountability. And that even though the accountability will bring, um, will expose quite a few narco politicians, and um, they need to be held accountable. You know, uh, these what we have discovered, that these, like Bill Hicks, like Governor Abbott, like Veronica Escobar, like the generals in the case. Do you want them to be in these leadership roles? The medical examiner. They um, Ted Cruz. Um, I would say Beto O'Rourke. Remember his whole dirty deeds in the Walmart mass shooting. This is just really greed on both sides of the aisle, and to our detriment, right? I mean, we would be better off without them. We would be so totally better off without them, because they use their power, they use their position, like this AG from Chihuahua. Oh, well, don't expect anything until 2027. It might take till 2027. Who is he? He needs to be arrested, because he absolutely is tied to this corpse dumping ground, right? He's implicated in it. Why do we have to listen to him? I mean, he absolutely needs to be arrested. And so people are very sick of our government, um, justice system, that is, really just weaponized to cover up for the criminals. And why do you want to cover up for Epstein? He was the worst of the worst. And why do they want to cover up for the cartel? And why do they want to cover up for an illegal like Mario Raskin Ortiz? He's not qualified for that position. And yet the people have to pay him. I think he needs to pay us back. I think he needs to pay all of his wages back, because he didn't do honest services. We've been slighted for honest services, and he's illegal and he's unqualified. So, it goes on. Where is the justice in all of this? And we have a lot going on behind the scenes that you can see, um, or maybe that you can't see, the seen and the unseen. But I can absolutely understand why people are getting so frustrated, because they see dead bodies piled up on each other, with a woman in her underwear that has the marks of her trauma still on her body. And we have multiple corpses that are in uniform. And and Cesar Hardagre, I hope I'm saying his name right, is, just delaying it till 2027. Oh, that's just unacceptable. Just unacceptable. And he's not being arrested. And Maru Campos, the governor of Chihuahua, she's not being arrested. She needs to be arrested. And I would say Governor Abbott, he needs to be arrested for his illegal activity. I mean, he's making security and sharing intelligence with the narco politicians, which makes him a narco politician. Um, yeah, this is our national security. This is the security in our military. This is the security of those that live in El Paso and Texas. And this whole flood, having this dream on the 16th. I'm calling it the 16th now, because it was during, the 16th of 2025. Um, absolutely. The more I think about it, the more I see his face in front of me, this official that was up to no good, that was always looking at his watch, waiting for the right time. And the dream was absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind that it was about um, this flooding that wiped out Camp Mystic. There's just no doubt in my mind that's what this was about, because that very place there at Camp Mystic, that was in my dream. And the picture that I created, um, it wasn't, um, the total representation of my dream, but that area um, was, and there were underneath these doors, right, with the teeth. Um, and I now that represents these dams, because when you look at the water level, the water surge for that to happen, 42 feet in 1 to 3 hours, with 10 to 15 inches of rain. Um, 10 to 15 inches of rain is a lot of rain. And that area, and I know that area, absolutely is dangerous for flooding. That's why they have the reservoirs. That's why they have the dams there. That's why they have it, because there is a problem for this flooding. So y- it's that kind of surge means, well, according to my dream, it didn't happen because of alone nature. That it didn't happen because of nature alone. It happened because there was somebody manipulating, and I don't know how. I don't know. It seemed like they were manipulating with the dam, the doors of the dam. Um, that's what seemed to be manipulated in my dream. I just know there was a flood. I know that he was happy about it. He was happy about the flood. He was happy to jump in and to be washed away uh, with the flood water, to go down into those doors. He was happy to do that. And he was waiting to do that. And thinking about it now, and really paying attention to all the news, because there's, like, the last time I heard, it was 104 bodies now have been um, lost. Yeah, so sad. And when I'm watching it and I'm looking at it, and I see this terrible flooding, this huge surge, there absolutely seems to be, uh, in the dream anyway, someone that was causing it. And a lot of people are contacting me about seeding clouds. There is also rumors about messing with the dams beforehand. Um, so, and that they are really attacking President Trump on this, also to me tells me it's a lot like the Walmart mass shooting, that someone is behind this and up to no good. Um, but my dream really is what I look back on, and it really, there is no doubt about it that this man with others were manipulating something to cause a dam. I would say the dam, uh, to cause more and more water, a rush of water, a very big rush of water, so much water that something was cleaned up. Something was cleaned up. So I don't know. There's a lot of camps in that area. I don't know if something nefarious was going on at some of those camps or one of those camps that they were being investigated maybe, and they wanted to clean it up, because that's what was going on with the Walmart mass shooting case. They were being audited, and they wanted a disaster to allow them to clean it up. Maybe that's what happened here. It could be that they decided to do that even at the cost of all of these little girls' lives, 104 people's lives, to divert attention from that mass dumping ground of rotting bodies. That's very near a airport, which is interesting, because we know that they fly out things, right? They fly out. There's a lot of tips that we're getting about the transportation of Richard's remains. We're also, um, re-looking at unreliable sources that Bob Moore used. Um, Absolutely. And so it's been pretty emotional because we're fighting for Richard's remains, and that's a very hard job. He's very valuable to these funeral people. And so to do that, they had to tamper a lot with documents. We'll see. We'll see. The investigation is ongoing, and that they would cash in on Richard is absolutely a possibility, because they are Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, Danae Katzen, Jonathan Ambrose, Leilani Hart, James Hart, and so many more, David Poche, absolutely engaged in fraud and disability benefits and death benefits, um, and in funeral benefits, and USA to NGOs for burials, and um, taking care of the dead, as searches, even for searches, they were giving money out. So, yes, this is, there's no coincidence here. No coincidence. The dream, absolutely. I think they were trying to cover something up there, divert attention. That's what the message is from my dream about this: diverting attention and cleaning up evidence, somehow destroying evidence. And that's why when I heard Dan Patrick say he didn't want drones, a lot of red flags went up. That he had his own drones or his own workers. They can't be trusted. They couldn't be trusted in North Carolina. They can't be trusted at all in Texas. And so red flags went up because he knows that. He knows that. And they might be wanting to protect Cornyn. I don't know. Because Attorney General Paxton is running for Cornyn's seat, Senate seat. So that is, another possibility. But I can tell you this, uh, absolutely there is some reason why God gave me that dream, because the dream is all about this flood. And it's pretty, I don't know what to think about it. And I try to interpret what's going on according to the dream. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on with your prayers and your love. Couldn't use that more. It's just every day we need it. And we're just very, very appreciative for that and for the shares. I posted up about Mario Raskin Ortiz. You have to know that every time you see that name, you need to think of Veronica Escobar. Absolutely, because and the cartel, which proved that she's a narco politician. And of course, we haven't forgotten our judges that are not even judges; they're just impersonating judges in the El Paso El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court. So, yeah, it's very easy to see how they've manipulated the agencies, infiltrated to um, cover up for cartel operations, criminal trafficking operations, and on and on. So thank you so much. That's the very thing that Richard was reporting on. So thank you so much. God bless you.